Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. I'm really excited to have you join me today for another exciting React tutorial. So last time we explored how to implement pagination in a React project using the TMDB API. So what are you seeing on your screen? All these movies are coming from an API endpoint, which is the movie database. I've already provided the API key and the endpoint in my previous video and implemented this with pagination. As you can see, we can go to next page. Because the TMDB database only serves 20 movies at a time, you can't see more than 20 movies. Without pagination, you wouldn't be able to go to different and browse through the different movies here. So we have used the pagination. So if you missed that tutorial, be sure to check it out, as it is a great starting point for what we will be covering today. And link is in the description. Please go ahead and check that and create this simple application to keep up to date what we are covering in this tutorial. So in today's video, we are going to take our React project to the next level by adding a dynamic search filter to it. What this will do is this will allow users to search for specific movies within the TMDB database that we are using to display these movies. So the database that I'm using, the movie database API, we will search through the entire TMDB database, and if the user search for something, and that search result should be displayed to the user. What do I mean by that? If the user want to search Jumanji, he should be able to see the results. So you can see the results are so dynamic, we can see them in real time. We can search for Batman and we can see Batman movies here. And if we click on the next page, we still kept the pagination here because there can be more than 5 Batman movies, right? And if we click on show all, we will be able to see 20 Batman movies as what the maximum amount of movies the TMDB database serves. So if we go ahead and clear the search, we will be brought back to the page 1, as you can see here. And you can still use your pagination. But let's say, oh, I'm on page 4, but I want to search a movie, Shazam. Now you can still search it, but as soon as you do this, it will bring you back to the first page because I have set it to page 1. So this is what we will be doing in today's video. Trust me, it's really simple. We're just gonna use an endpoint provided by the TMDB database that will allow us to search through the entire database and send a query to this. Before we get into the coding, make sure you subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell so you never miss out any of my helpful tutorials. So let's get started. Right, now that we are back in our VS Code, and this is where we left this project. This is what it looks like currently, and we are able to go through previous pages with the help of pagination that we did up here. And now we're gonna have a search input here that will allow user to actually search for the movie. So if user want to search for Batman, he can see all the results for Batman, because right now we only have one option here. We can just go to the next page and we can just come back to the previous page. So let's go ahead and refresh this to stay on the first page. And first thing first, we need is a search input up here, obviously, so user can interact with that, and then we'll name it search bar. I'm gonna open up a div here with the class name search bar. Inside this, I'll create an input text and I'll create a button here, name it show all, so it will be able to show all the movies. When you user click on it, it will come back to the front page. So that's it for this. Now let's go ahead and style this. So we are inside movie info in buttons. So after the buttons, let's declare this class search bar, and inside this we're gonna get the input and button both. To give them some common styling, we're gonna give them some margin auto. I'm actually gonna fast forward this process again, but If you need the CSS for this, I'll put a Google Sheet link in the description, or you can just pause the video. So from here I'm going to fast forward this. Alright, now that we have the search input and the button ready, the user is able to search, not search at the moment, but type inside this input. But what we want is, as he types something, he should see the result at the bottom, right? But before we start implementing the API search, there's some issue with our styling here. As you can see, our title is hiding behind this because this div is in absolute flow, so this is out of the box modal flow, right? So we have to fix that. If we go ahead and make this, you can see, so this is hiding behind it, and we can't even provide it any margin because this is set to position absolute. So what we're gonna do, we are gonna go to the main div where movie start, movie card in this case, and we will provide it some margin, top maybe 3 rem, a little bit more, we'll make it 5, so that will look perfect. So now that looks perfect. Now we have this margin sorted out, everything else is working as it expected, so we can close this. In case if you missed the fast forward CSS, here is the style for this div once again. So this is what I did. I declared another div with class name search bar that starts from here, and an input and button. So input and buttons have some common properties like the positioning and aligning, and then I have individually styled the input and button. So if you want to have a look at this, this is the CSS for it. I'm going to close this now. The first thing we want to do is go to the API link. Here we're going to declare another API link with the search endpoint, because this link just has all the movies. This link will have an endpoint that we can send a request to search a movie from. This is available from the TMDB database that we are using. So we, instead of discover, we are gonna write search. And one more thing we can do here is, rather than exporting the API key, what we can do is get the API key here, and we can just, so we are kind of refactoring our code as well, but we need to put that into template literals. And API key, which is equal to this, and we'll do the same here. I'll just copy this whole thing. And I'll change the discover again to search movie API key. That's it. And now we should have an error here because it's asking for the API key. We'll see if we can remove this from here, and we can also remove this from here. Then we just need the endpoint, so we don't even need to put it inside that. And there we go, we are still seeing the result as it was before. So we have removed an extra code from the component. And next thing we are going to do is, we are exporting this. So this is the search inside our movie. Here we're gonna create a use state, so that state will be used to manage the search functionality of the movie listing, right? So we are gonna do is const search query, set search query, use state, and it will be an empty string. This is for this user input. And then we are going to come down to the input. Inside the input, we gonna give it a value that will be the search query that just we declared, this one. And we can also give it an event listener. So the event listener would do its own change event actually. And what this will do is it will get the user input value and set it as a search query. So E, which is for event, and we can set the search query, which is this, to what? To e.target.value. So event.target.value. And we can check if we are getting anything from the user value. Yep, so that's working. And now we can actually come up to this use effect, and we're gonna make some changes to this use effect hook, because we are totally going to refactor the code. And now that we have two endpoint, in this one we are only fetching discover. We will conditionally provide the xuse.get method an endpoint. So it's gonna check if the endpoint is search query, then run this search endpoint. But if it's not, then else it would be a discover endpoint. So we will create a ternary operator here, but first thing, we are going to take this out of the use effect. So this is our use effect now. We don't want to pass it any dependency, and this is our independent fetch function that fetching the movies inside this. After the try block, we'll create a ternary operator and put it in a variable. So endpoints, which will be conditionally passed to the get function. So search query, if search query is true, then search endpoint, that is this one. But if it's not true, else discover endpoint. And what are we gonna do here? We're gonna get this endpoint. Instead of discover endpoint, we are gonna pass this. So we get that. Everything else is the same, I think. Yeah, that's all we have to do. Now we have to create another function, I guess, but let's test it first. Okay, so the search is working, but it's not working. It's actually not displaying the results at the moment. So because of query, because we are not setting, we are not actually fetching the query, like we are getting the current pages, we need to get the query as well. So search query. So we have got that. We are setting the pages, we are displaying 20 pages. There we go, it's already working. See how simple it was? Just by adding an endpoint, we are now searching the movies. So let's search for Jumanji. It searched everything related to this search Jumanji, and it's just giving me all these results. And let's test something very unique, that there's only one movie, so that should be Interstellar. Am I spelling Interstellar wrong? Interstellar. Okay, Interstellar. There are many. Okay, but as you can see, that we are still using pagination. If there are more than 20 movies, we can see the pages. In this case, Batman. See, now we have more than 20 Batman movies, so we still keeping the pagination here, so we can go to the more movies that we can see and how many Batman related movies are there on the endpoint. And this will stop until we reach the maximum limit of the search. There you go. Now we can't go next because this is all the movies related to this search. So if we clear this, we are here, and now we want to use the show all button to set it to make us send to the first page. Right now we are on page 8, and if we search something here, Shazam, it's not searching it here. Okay, it's because I'm searching Shazam on page 8, and I don't think there are any page 8. It should be this. There you go, it's like one page. So we need to fix that. That's why we need to create another function for this button, and we can come down to the button, provide it an on click event. This will be search show all, and we can create this here. So that will be an arrow function. Inside this we will call the fetch movies, and we will set the current page to 1. So if we search Batman again, since Batman has so many movies, we are on page 3 here, and if we click on show all, we are on page 1. And if we search Shazam here, we can see Shazam. And if we go to some other pages and then we search Shazam and then show all, there you go, now we can see that. So that's pretty much it. This is what we had to do in order to set up the search query in it. We just getting this endpoint, and we are sending the user input via this use state variable, and we are passing that in our fetch movies function conditionally using the ternary operator, and then it's just displaying the result as it was before. Nothing changes here, just bring out the use effect out of it. There's one more thing we can do here. Actually I should show you because that will be really helpful. We can follow the dry principles here. So dry principle is do not repeat yourself. When you are actually coding, make sure you are not doing this what I have done here. This is really bad. So what we can do, we can merge these two functions, previous page and next page, into just one, and this is used for our pagination obviously. So we can just call it navigate pages, and you can pass its directions. So if the direction is previous, the direction could be either previous or next. So if direction is previous, and what we were checking there, let me just not really, let me just control undo this so you can see what I'm actually doing here. So we're gonna come down here, we'll put this. So what we are doing, we are providing it an object parameter with direction. This parameter could be previous or next. It's like doing union types. So we are checking if direction is previous in this case, and we're going to check this as well, and the current page is greater than 1. So current page is greater than 1. Then what we want to do, we're going to set the current page to exactly as this. So we can copy that down. And else if direction is equal to next, and what next page is this. So current pages is less than the total pages here. Then what? Then we copy this. So we can comment out this one. So now we can pass the navigate page to the on-click event on our button. So rather than this, what we are gonna do, we're gonna create an inline arrow function here that will call the navigate page, and then we will pass it the attribute, whether it's previous or next. So we are gonna create an inline arrow function, and then we'll call this. This is not enough, we still have to tell that it's a back button, and now I'm expecting previous here. Similar, same thing for the next button. All we're gonna do is we're gonna change this to next. So with that, we can get rid of this, and we can search. Let's refresh this. Perfect. Our pagination is still working fine as it was before with the other method. Now we can search for movies. I keep searching Batman because he's my favorite. Next, yeah, that's working. Show all should come back to the page 1. Okay, so now that we have done everything, we are going to end this tutorial here. So by combining all these concepts, you now have a functional movie search and listing application which allow you to search any movie you want. So you can see that it's working. You can still have pagination if there are more movies with the name. So everything is working fine. However, remember that this is just the beginning. There are endless possibility for enhancing and customizing your application. You could add more filters. We can add filters to this, whether we want to search movies by filters, sort option, and even link to detailed movie pages for more information. So we can actually click on these movies and go to another page where we have a detailed information of these movies, as the TMDB gives us really good information for all the movies that we are fetching. It gives us release date. It just doesn't give us title that we are fetching. It gives us like language and release date and the box office as well, I guess. But yeah, this is not the end, and I encourage you to take what you have learned here and build upon it. Feel free to experiment with it and add your own features, and please continue learning about React API integration and user interface design. And last, if you find this video helpful, please consider liking it and subscribing to my channel. Also, don't forget to hit the notification bell so you don't miss out any of the future tutorials. Thank you for watching this, and happy coding.